Well, well, well. If it isn't another book talker crawling on over to BookTube. It's me this time. Hi. Hello. My name is EmmaSkies. I'm on the other place, but that other place might be getting shut down for us in the next couple of weeks. So I'm here. Remembering that I have a YouTube channel that I tend to upload to, I don't know, once every 2 years. But yeah, as we are losing that other place, and I might actually lose my mind if I no longer have an outlet to talk just at length about the books that I love and the books that I hate and the industry and the community. Yeah, I'll lose my mind if I don't have that anymore. So we're gonna try this for a hot minute, and who knows? This may be the only BookTube video that I post in this entire year. Or maybe I post one a week and this is like where I am now and you can find me here consistently. Could not begin to tell you how that's going to go. Like every couple of years or so, I get the motivation to like do YouTube videos and then that disappears pretty immediately. So who really knows? Who could say? Not me. I really hate video editing. Honestly, that's entirely what it comes down to is I really, really hate video editing. So we'll see how well I end up actually doing with this. But not the topic for today's video. I thought I would talk a little bit about BookTok and the things that I am going to miss about it and the things that I won't. It'll make me feel a little bit better about losing it, about remembering just all the things that I'm not going to miss about that place. BookTube is going to be an interesting experience, getting to know everybody here. I was never particularly involved in BookTube, so I'm suddenly going to find a bunch of new people to follow and content to watch, and I'm really excited for that, and all the people that I know from BookTok who are also moving over here. Hello, happy to see all of you here. Excited to see what we all do with long form content. But anyway, what I'll miss about BookTok, what I'll miss about TikTok, a lot of this is TikTok in general. I actually recorded a version of this video yesterday, and it was almost entirely like general TikTokness and not, specifically BookTok, which is more what I'm going for here. So I'm re-recording this with that in mind. I think it's really easy to kind of giggle and laugh and shrug off that like a bunch of people are losing this social media platform that like doesn't really matter and like, haha, they're so upset about it. But I genuinely do think it's sad that we're losing TikTok and that we're losing BookTok for various reasons, both industry-wide and personal. It is, it's got its goods and bads, and its bads are real fucking bad. But I think if I had to weigh my experience on BookTok over the last handful of years, I think it comes out weighing more on the good side. For as annoying as it can be, for as harmful as it can be, for all the problems that it can cause, it's also a place where I've met a lot of really, really great people, where I found a lot of books I wouldn't have otherwise found, where I've connected with a lot of different people in communities, and TikTok is not a place for building community, so maybe community isn't the right word there, but the space that I have built and the people that I've surrounded myself with and the people that I've followed and the people that I interact with, I'm going to miss all of that. So in general, what I will miss about BookTok. I will say in terms of moving from BookTok to BookTube or thinking about making that move, I will miss the sort of space to talk about the casual, quick, everyday thoughts. So that's something that in short form video is, it's like it's bread and butter. It's what it's made for, is these very casual short form thoughts, these quick things that you can either articulate very, very quickly, and then that's kind of it, and then you kind of hand it off as like, okay, now what do you think? Or these things that you're currently working on and you're sort of workshopping within your own mind and your own thoughts, and you're able to kind of pass off of like, okay, here's where I'm at, what do you think as well? And these very short videos that I don't know, when I think of YouTube, doesn't feel like it's the space for that. Like YouTube to me, and this may well be like my own, I'm looking at YouTube with an old lens, like I haven't been active on watching and consuming YouTube in many years, but like when I think of YouTube, I think of longer form content, and I think bare absolute minimum like 5-minute video. Like if your video's not even 5 minutes, like why are you bothering to be here? Whereas on TikTok, I make a lot of 5-minute videos. I absolutely certainly do. But it does feel like that is, it's not really what it's made for. And it's those quick thoughts. And we'll talk about why that's not always great in the what I won't miss, but I do think I'm going to miss that sort of short form space as well. I know that YouTube has shorts that are finally able to go above 60 or 90 seconds or something. I guess you can go up to 3 minutes now, although I've had a hell of a time trying to get that to work. But the comments on YouTube shorts, I have not run into this yet, but my friends who I see upload to both TikTok and YouTube shorts, the comments are, I don't even know how to explain. You know what? I don't even want to worry about it. I don't even want to worry about it at this point. The one thing that I do know about is there's also, of course, Instagram Reels, and Instagram Reels is the worst social media algorithm I think I've ever seen. I don't know how it could possibly get worse. So I don't want anything to do with that over there. Not even I mean, literally just the algorithm is so bad. And like, that's the thing that TikTok is good at. Like, that's, if we think about the things that we're going to miss about TikTok, it all really comes down to, or a lot of it really comes down to that algorithm, that proprietary TikTok algorithm that is like scary good at showing you exactly what you want and taking your content and showing it to exactly the people who would want it. It also has a tendency to show it to people who don't want it, but are more than happy to angrily engage with it, which sucks. But the algorithm of TikTok is like the main thing that I think a lot of us are going to miss, that a lot of the things that we are going to miss about TikTok build from. And the algorithm on Instagram Reels is trash. It has never, in the years and years that it has been active, ever made any fucking sense to me. There was a time for a good solid year that I could not escape. The only thing it would serve me consistently was baby content, pregnancy content, labor and delivery content. If you know me, you're shocked right now. And so was I. I don't know what, I don't know where it would have ever gotten the idea that that was the kind of content I wanted to be served. I was constantly hitting not interested on everything. And then even when I finally got it after like genuinely a year to stop showing me baby content constantly, I was getting a ton of wedding content. Wedding content was very, very popular on my feed for a while. Again, I don't know why. The sun is moving and it's going to start blinding me. Yeah, wedding content became the main thing that I was seeing all over my feeds. And then what I'm currently into is a lot of weight loss content for some reason. I cannot escape Ozempic ads to save my fucking life. I don't know what's wrong with the Instagram algorithm. It is like, I don't know who it thinks it's serving content to, but I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to consume content there. I don't want to post content there, because on a creator side, while it's, as a consumer, it's showing me things that I don't want. It's also taking the things that I create and showing that to people that don't want it. And Instagram comments are so fucking mean. Instagram comments are a level of mean, which again, not to say that TikTok comments are good. I will not miss the fact that I may never have to see another TikTok comment again, but Instagram comments are uniquely mean in a way that TikTok comments generally aren't, depending on your content, at least for my content. But like, Instagram comments are just mean for the sake of being mean. And I don't really get why, like over the most innocuous shit. Anyway, yeah, I will miss the sort of, now I can't remember where I started on this. I picked a really bad time to do this because every time the sound's just going to keep, why is my mother calling me? All right, well, we're just going to deal with that. Anyway, yeah, so I will miss that space for short form content because no one else is doing it like TikTok at this point. YouTube Shorts are not a replacement. Instagram Reels are not a replacement. Nobody's doing it like TikTok. And honestly, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if we don't have a replacement. I think the short form content has also had its bads, and we'll get to that as well. But yeah, I will actually miss that like space for these sort of quick or smaller thoughts that don't necessarily lend themselves to like long form content. I will also miss the discoverability. I mentioned this a little bit in talking about the algorithm, but like the discoverability of TikTok, both as a consumer and as a creator. Obviously, as a creator, the discoverability on TikTok is much better than YouTube. YouTube has always had a problem with discoverability. While I may not have been locked into the platform here for a handful of years, I can't imagine that has changed all that much. It was always a problem, or at least something that was much, much harder to overcome than it was on a platform like TikTok. And on a consumer side, like because that discoverability is so high for so many people, you can find a lot of things you wouldn't have found otherwise. And in the case of BookTok, I found a lot of books that I wouldn't have found otherwise. I found a lot of friends and people who have recommendations that I wouldn't have found otherwise. And I'm able to listen to other people who I may not have, like, it's the kind of thing that you would have had to specifically seek out that I wouldn't have sought out. I follow people who talk about nonfiction books, even though I don't read nonfiction. I follow people and really respect recommendations from litfic people and all these like general genres that like I wouldn't have sought out myself, and so may not have come up on other various forms of algorithms or whatever, but that I was able to find through BookTok. And I love listening to people talk about these things, even if it's not something that I would seek out for myself or I would think to seek out. And on that same discoverability, I think the low barrier to entry on TikTok is also something that I'll miss. It's very, very simple to set up your phone, record for a few minutes, post it, and like have a thing. And like now you're able to post that. I don't know. There's a laziness to it, obviously, in my mind, that like I hate video editing, so it's really, really nice not to have to do that all the time. Again, all of this comes with its bads, but I will actually genuinely miss the low barrier to entry of like, I'm sitting in my car and I kind of have some time to kill and I have this thought and I want to talk about the books that I've read and I want to talk about this, that, or the other thing, and I can just do that real quick and then I can edit around it. I make it, I'm quick and concise in my editing to make things punchy, and then I can post it and then it's done. And it doesn't have to be a whole production here where like right now, like I'm using my phone, but I have a camera, I have a separate microphone, which means I have a separate audio file, which means I then have to go into Premiere and then I edit these down. And this video is like, 20, 30, 40 minutes long. And it's just the barrier to entry on YouTube is higher. The know-how is a little bit higher. If you have a phone, that's all you need to be on TikTok, where YouTube is a little bit harder. And not to say that YouTube has like a high barrier to entry. Obviously it's different depending on the kind of production quality you feel like putting into your videos. Like, you can very simply record and then upload, although I still don't think you can upload on your phone except for shorts maybe. Anyway, I digress. I will miss the low barrier to entry on TikTok because I think it also allows for people to try new things, to experiment in ways that maybe they wouldn't if they had to spend so much time on the content for YouTube, or for people to try things at all. Like if it never occurred to them to upload to YouTube or to want to put the time in or figure out the technological ins and outs of uploading, good videos to YouTube, they may not have ever tried that. But the low barrier to entry on TikTok means that they had that space to mess around with it, to play with it, to test it out, and then find that they like it and then go forward with it. And I think that's something that allows for a more diverse look at the kinds of books that you're seeing, the kinds of stories that you're seeing, the kinds of conversations that we're seeing over on BookTok. And this is all like, not to say that this is not happening on BookTube. As I've said, I am not clocked into BookTube at this point. So none of this is to say that this isn't happening on BookTube, but I think I will miss just how easy it is to get into TikTok and what that allows for on BookTok. You know what I won't fucking miss? A lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that I won't miss about TikTok. There's a lot of stuff that I could generally say. TikTok comments in general, like I think I said this on Blue Sky the other day, but like, losing TikTok is gonna suck, but it also means that I may never have to see another TikTok comment again, and that's a fucking win. That's a fucking win. Just some of the most bad faith, dumb shit I've ever seen has been in TikTok comments, both to me and out in the wider world. There's this this complete allergy to seeking out basic information for oneself, like whether they don't want to or they don't know how to. I made a video recently about my least favorite kind of TikTok comments, with the obvious caveat being that like I'm not talking about the worst of the worst, like the actual vitriol spewed at people, the more innocuous stuff, like the more like innocuously annoying things, and one of those was easily Googleable questions. I was like, I don't understand why you are going into my comment section to ask me a question that you could Google in 7 seconds instead of waiting for maybe me, maybe somebody else to see the comment within 12 to 24 hours and some random internet stranger to give you an unverified answer to whatever your question was, when you could have just Googled it in 5 seconds. And I got a lot of pushback on that one. There was quite a lot of comments. I deleted a bunch of them because they annoyed me. I got a lot of comments that were, various forms of like, oh, well, I just don't feel like switching to another app. I don't have the energy to do this. I really if I'm on TikTok, I just want to be on TikTok. And there was a couple people that went pretty hard into when I'm on TikTok, I'm just here for this sort of mind-numbing, mindless scrolling content. I really don't have it in me to swap over to Google and Google a question and come back. And that kind of shit drives me fucking insane. That drives me nuts. And the craziest part of that to me is I think recognizing that about yourself, saying it out loud, and stopping the thought there, where you're I have recognized this. Okay, now something, and it's no, you've recognized this. Now, don't you want to work on fixing that? That's bad. That's that's not good. That's not good for any of us. But I digress. I will not miss TikTok comments for various reasons, one of which being that an inability to seek out basic information for themselves, sort of bad faith engagement. There's this need on TikTok, BookTok, but TikTok generally, there's this need for short, punchy, easy content that keeps your attention. And so everything's happening very fast and very quickly and needs to move really quickly and be very short. And at the same time, if you do not caveat your language with every single possible rebuttal anybody could ever have, no matter how obvious it is, no matter how implied it is in what you're saying, somebody will get mad at you for it. So you end up with these, I'm not saying XYZ thing, and I'm not saying XYZ thing, and I'm saying XYZ thing. And it's just say the fucking thing. But we've gotten into this space where because people in TikTok comments will get so mad at you. I think one of the ones that I have absolutely found myself doing a lot, and I see other people do as well, is when leaving a negative review. I will often start the review at some point early in the review as it becomes clear that I'm saying something negative, that I'm critiquing something. It'll say hey, by the way, this is clearly a negative review. If you don't like negative reviews, move on. This isn't for you. And I shouldn't have to fucking say that, but if you don't, even if you do say that, people still get mad. But even if you do say that, when people get mad at you for having a negative opinion, you can at least point to hey, I told you 5 seconds in to go away and you stayed. So nobody should have to tell you, hey, this is a negative review. If you don't like negative reviews, it's okay. You can leave. You can just fucking leave. Like, you could just scroll. But like, anyway, there's the combination of like feeling the need to have all of your content be short and punchy and simultaneously cover every single possible caveat is just a combination I won't miss. And I won't miss TikTok comments for a lot of reasons, including that one. But in terms of BookTok itself, I will not miss the speed at which cyclical discourse comes around again and again and again. Because TikTok is that low barrier to entry, that high discoverability, that like constant like slew of content, you know, over and over and over again. You're taking in thousands of videos at, you know, maybe in a single, you know, hour-long session. This amount of information and things that we are not meant to take in at the speed that we are. But all of that allows people to see, you know, discourse begin, everybody get in on the discourse, then the discourse is all being fed to you, and then it goes away and the next thing comes up and then it comes back around again and again and again. And because it's that low discoverability or high discoverability, low barrier to entry, the cycle there moves so fast. The amount of time between audiobook discourse gets shorter and shorter every fucking time. I swear to God, it's like every 2 months. Audiobooks do count as reading. Audiobooks don't count as reading. Shut the fuck up. Why are we still doing that? We just, you know what? Just refer back to all the videos from last month when we had the same conversation. And then we can all move on with our lives. But yeah, the way in which BookTok latches on to cyclical discourse like that, and I'm definitely guilty of this as well. I've kind of jumped into cyclical discourse myself, and I won't miss that. And speaking of these like short punchy videos, I will not miss, both for myself as a creator and watching other videos and like the access to other videos that we have, feeling the need to fit all of my thoughts, every single thing I thought about a book, into this neat, tidy, concise 1 to 3 minute video. It's simply not possible. It truly is not fucking possible. Like, I have a number of reviews that I'm proud of, that I have really liked on TikTok, but generally, like, somewhere in that review, I will say like, hey, my full review's up on Goodreads, or I know that people have, or if I'm able to kind of get everything that I wanted to say in it, I know that people tuned out within 20 seconds when they realized the video was going to be a little bit longer. I tend to make longer form content on like for TikTok. I couldn't make a video less than 60 seconds to save my fucking life. Typically my videos run, I would guess, between like 3 and 5 minutes, maybe 2 and 5 minutes. But yeah, my videos typically run between 3 and 5 minutes. But like feeling like I have to concisely fit all of my thoughts into a small TikTok video, I think also harms the way that I write reviews, because I think I'm so locked in to TikTok and locked into like, how am I going to write their, you know, talk about this review on my platform, that it's then affecting the way that I talk about it elsewhere too. My Instagram reviews are shorter. My Goodreads reviews are shorter, because I'm constantly trying to like pare down into smaller and smaller. And that's not good. We need to be fostering longer attention spans. It is bad for all of us. It is bad for me. It is bad for you. It is bad for society that we are fostering these teeny tiny itty bitty short attention spans. Like, all you need to see is the popularity of those videos that are like a blurred video in the background of some fucking platforming speedrunner, like jangling shiny keys in front of a baby to keep its attention on the thing in front of its face, while there's another thing in front of you, which is usually some like dumbass Reddit story that they've pulled off the internet. And because you're not going to pay attention to these words, even if those words are interesting, you're not going to pay attention to those words if they're not dangling the shiny keys to kind of keep you distracted on the outside. Like, that's bad. That's like, we should all be seeing that and going like, this is a problem societally. It's not good that these are doing so well, but I digress. Yeah, I will not miss feeling like I need to fit all of my thoughts into such a small video. And even when I'm able to concisely get everything I want into that video, I won't miss feeling like I have to talk at the speed of light to make that happen, right? And I do talk very fast. I don't, like, I'm clearly talking pretty slow here, which is, again, I get to relax. But like in a conversation, when I'm talking with my friends, when I'm talking with my family, I do talk quickly. But like the speed at which I talk on TikTok is pretty natural for me. What's not natural is to do that perfectly. I trip over my words a lot when I'm talking that quickly. I'm re-recording the same thing over and over again because I've tripped over my words, and I can't leave that trip in, because again, I'm trying to keep that punchy and concise and quick so that people don't lose attention, that they don't lose whatever it is, you know, whatever hold I have on their attention to make them keep watching the video, so that they get the information I'm trying to get across, right? The way in which I have to push information out in such a way I just don't love. And so here I get to take a breath. I get to slow down. I get to talk a little bit slower. I get to be a little bit more comfortable. Like my, you know, it's just, it'll be more comfortable. I may leave in some of my stutters. I may leave in some of my pauses, things that I generally wouldn't be able to leave into a TikTok video, or rather wouldn't be able to, but like don't leave into my TikTok videos specifically for that reason. I don't know. It'll be really nice to not be beholden to like that teeny tiny attention span, because the teeny tiny attention span does cause significant problems. But that's a topic for another thing entirely. Quite possibly one of the number one things, if I had to get like a top 3 things I won't miss about BookTok, one of the number one things is the way that people talk about fan fiction. The short version of this is that I have been reading fan fiction for, God, how old am I now? 17, 18 years now I've been reading fan fiction, and that shit was a secret. That shit was a lockdown secret until like 2 years ago, because back in my day, you didn't tell anybody. You took that shit to your grave. And I do think it's very interesting and it's very good and it's very wholesome that that is no longer the case, right? Like people can be excited about fan fiction. People can be publicly like with their friends talk about the fact that they read fan fiction. That's great. The public way on TikTok specifically, the proliferation that fan fiction has gone through on TikTok specifically is bad for fan fiction, is bad for fandom. It's not good. It is genuinely, I think, going to ruin fan fiction. I think it is currently ruining fan fiction because it has turned it into content to be consumed, as everything on TikTok is. People view fan fiction as content to be consumed rather than what it actually is, which is a give and take gift economy to community. But people don't fucking see it like that anymore because they're just talking about it on TikTok and getting a gazillion views and giving it to people or exposing people to it who don't have the background of understanding what it is that they're taking in. So I did a video series maybe a month or two ago that started with talking about how I think gatekeeping is a good thing, actually, especially when we're talking about fan fiction. Gatekeeping can be a really good thing, not so that nobody comes in, not to keep people out. I am not interested in telling people they're not allowed to read fan fiction. I am not interested in keeping, gatekeeping things because I don't want them to be a part of it. Gatekeeping so that people come in through the fucking gate. There is a way to come into fandom where it is respected, where you understand what came before it, where you understand the etiquette of it. And even if you don't, even if you get in there and you're brand new, you are willing to listen and learn and not present yourself as an authority online to a bunch of other people to this thing that you don't understand. There's a lot of problems here, which is like its own separate video. But yes, I think TikTok has fundamentally harmed how fan fiction is viewed. It is now viewed as content to be consumed. People are treating fic authors like they're trad published authors on fucking contract who owe them chapters, which is not the fucking case. People are flat out refusing to engage with work in progress works because, again, they are viewing it as content to be consumed. They won't touch anything that's not 100% complete. I could go on about this forever. I can feel myself just getting into that. That's a whole other video that I may do. Now that I have space for like longer form thoughts, I may actually write out like an essay on fan fiction and whatever. I will not miss the way that people talk about fan fiction on TikTok. People who talk about fan fiction like their books. People who will give a book recommendation list and they're like published novel, published novel, published novel, fan fiction, published novel, as though that's the same fucking thing. And as though you are not completely removing that fan fiction from the context in which it is meant to be viewed, in which it was created. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here. I could just keep going. It's bad. The state of fan fiction and the way people treat it now is bad. It's bad. It's a bad time. I've been here, like I said, on and off for 17, 18 years at this point, and it's bad. These people don't fucking remember Anne Rice, and it shows. And finally, for this video, I will not miss factory settings book talk. Factory settings book talk is a phrase that I heard one of my mutuals, Jamila, use forever ago, and I have never forgotten it. I constantly refer to factory settings book talk as factory settings book talk, and it's exactly what you would think it is. It's when you first type in the word book on TikTok, it's the stuff that you get right away. It's the stuff that people always, bam, BookTok only recommends the same 5 books over and over, and it's Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, and shut the fuck up, no it's not. That's factory settings book talk. That initial layer of book talk that is the same, handful of books, that's your ACOTARs, that's your Fourth Wings. I think even somehow dark romance got roped into being part of like factory settings book talk, and that became that sort of way of when people would say book talk, people would talk about, well, book talk is like this. What they actually meant was factory settings book talk, was ACOTAR book talk, was dark romance book talk. And you're like, no, No, these are two, like you're talking about BookTok as a whole. And I think the hard thing here, and one of my mutuals, Beth, has talked about this a lot, is that BookTok is not a fandom. BookTok is not centralized. BookTok is not, BookTok is simply too broad. BookTok is a collection of a bunch of different niche fandoms, and some of them are so different from each other, and yet everything gets sort of collated into BookTok at large, meaning often factory settings BookTok. It's when you get those, oh god, every time I see the phrase on some dude's thirst trap and it's like, oh, has BookTok here yet? BookTok has been summoned, BookTok's here, BookTok's gonna love you. Shut the fuck up, you're annoying, you're embarrassing, stop that. It's like, why you go into a bookstore and you look at the BookTok table and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, I don't know what half of these are, and I am constantly on BookTok because it's just so different for so many different people. Anyway, yeah, I will not miss factory settings BookTok. I'm sure there's a huge, I know there's a huge community on BookTube for like your ACOTARs, your Fourth Wings, your whatevers. But again, I think part of what is going to be nice about BookTube over BookTok is that a lot of these problems and even the good things compound upon themselves because of the sheer amount, the volume of content that you are consuming on TikTok because of that mindless scroll short form content. You're just getting video after video after video. If somebody asked you, if you sat with TikTok for an hour and somebody logged all the videos that you watched in any capacity, and then somebody asked you how many you'd seen, I guarantee you would not be able to tell. You would underestimate that because we are seeing so much content. The level of information, and I don't even want to say it's like information that we're taking in because we're not actually taking in the information from it. We're just kind of like sitting there and having words like shoved at us and then moving on. And that's not to say that you can't glean anything good from TikTok. That's not to say that there isn't lessons to be learned and knowledge to be gained from TikTok at all, but like the sheer volume at which we are taking in this content, and that coupled with the way that because of that mindless scrolling, people will not switch to Google to fact check a basic piece of information. Something that I struggle with a lot is the ways in which people will believe anything on the internet. And this is true of YouTube as well. This is true of the entire internet. This is not a TikTok specific problem, right? This is not a BookTok specific problem. If anybody says something in a confident tone of voice, people online will just believe them. You could say whatever you want. You could literally say whatever you want. As long as you say it confidently and you present it in such a way that you believe what you're saying, or you want people to believe what you're saying, people will believe you. Just like flat out. No fact checking, no nothing. It drives me insane. And that's not something that we're going to lose by losing TikTok. But the cat's kind of out of the bag on that one. But that's where we are. So there's a messy little look at the things that I will miss and the things that I will not miss from BookTok, as it looks like we, the Americans at least, are going to lose it. And one of the, I will say it may seem like a pretty big omission here is the people. And the reason I don't mention the people on BookTok as being somebody that I'm going to miss is because I don't think they're going to be gone. I mean, there are a number of people who, once TikTok is gone, they're not moving to YouTube. They're not moving to Instagram. They're just going to kind of fade away. But what I think of when I think of the people that I have on BookTok, my mutuals, the people that I really enjoy taking in their content and talking with them is even the people that my mutuals and my friends now who I talk with a lot. We don't talk on TikTok. I think most of what happens is that we connected on TikTok, where we became mutuals, we interact with each other's content, and then we found each other on Instagram. And most of our DMs are done over Instagram because the TikTok DM feature is so bad. So already the people that I'm talking with, I have found on Instagram, and I have, a couple more weeks to find people on their Instagrams and their YouTube channels and their binderies and their, whatevers. And I think I will be okay with finding the people that I want to follow other places. I will miss seeing my mutuals every day. I will miss just like kind of scrolling and seeing the people that make me smile and seeing the people that make me think and seeing the people that introduce me to new concepts and new ideas and broaden my horizons. I will miss kind of seeing that on a daily basis in like small bites, but I don't think those people are going to be gone for the most part. I will be sad to miss anybody who kind of does fade if they choose not to pursue social media at this point anymore. But I think for the most part, I will be okay with finding them other places, and we'll stay in touch, and I'm very excited about that. So here we go. This could be the first of many BookTube videos to come. This could be the only BookTube video. You could be looking at my channel 2 years from now, seeing this video and seeing that this was like the last upload. Truly no fucking idea. I guess we're going to see how it goes in the new year. The Supreme Court is going to hear oral arguments on the TikTok thing on January 10th, and I have no faith in the Supreme Court in any kind of case, and especially not this case. So I am kind of working under the assumption mention now that that TikTok is going to be gone in a couple of weeks, but who knows? Everything's up in the air. Who knows what's going on? I have a lot to do. I'm really stressed, but I'm going to leave this here. I always feel like because it's a longer form video that I have to say goodbye on YouTube, but I don't. So